So tonight I watched a bunch of short films that has a very specific niche audience that would be Twilight fans. So I'm not sure if anyone of you have been following this, but the people behind Twilight, Lionsgate, Facebook, several other people, Stephanie Meyer, etc., put together this competition based on the illustrated Twilight history book, which I actually have not read. I've read all the other Twilight books. That's a long, complicated part of my life that I'll tell you about someday. But I have not read this one. So they're like expanded histories of a lot of the characters. And the competition it's called Twilight Storytellers, and it's films that are written and directed by women, short films. And it was a pitch thing where you pitch your stories, and then the top 7, I guess, got $50,000 to make their films. And so now the final films, finished, completed, are on Facebook, the Twilight Saga Facebook page, and you can watch them. They're all between 8 and about 13 minutes long, 7 of them, of various backstories of characters. So if you are not a fan of Twilight, you might not like these films. I don't even want to describe the plots because they're just Twilight plots, and you don't care if you don't care. So whatever. I did think it was interesting that 3 of the 7 films feature Alice's backstory, mostly because Alice is one of the best characters. Basically, for me, it's Alice and Jasper are the ones that I enjoy. I like their backstories. I liked their performances in the original, especially the first film, but in all the films. So, everyone loves Alice. Alice is great. So, the films, I watched them in order that they were on the Facebook page. So the first one is called We've Met Before. It's directed by Yulin Kuang. It's about how Alice and Jasper met. It's actually my favorite of the films. It was the first one I watched, and I think it was the most, it had the most point of view, other than the last one, which I will get to. But it was just a beautiful film. I really liked it. It was, set in the 60s. There was pie in a diner and, the kind of shit that I love. That one was great. The second one is called the Mary Alice Brandon File, and it was written and directed by sisters Kailey and Sam Spear. They're from Canada. That one is about Alice why Alice ended up in an asylum, and the backstory about her father and her mother and her, how she became Alice. The next one was, sorry, I'm going through my notes. It was called Masque, and it's about Esme. Esme is Carlisle's partner, wife, what have you, Carlisle being the main matriarch of the Cullen family, if you are not familiar with Twilight. I'm just going to put this out there. I actually really like the first Twilight movie. I like all the Twilight movies, whatever. And you can watch the first Twilight movie if you're doing Year with Women, because it's directed by Catherine Hardwicke. And I may or may not, in the spring of 2009, I did create a Tumblr called Fuck Yeah Twilight, which I still maintain. And it's on the Tumblr, so if you like Twilight, follow it. Anyways, Masque is about Esme dealing with being a newborn and her dislike of abusive men. She kicks some ass in this one. It's pretty good. It's called Masque, and it was directed by Carson. There was actually several Carlyles in this as well. Everyone loves Carlisle. So the next one was called Sunrise, and it was directed by Amanda Tasse. And it actually so it's about Benjamin and Tia, who are Egyptian, and you get to them in Breaking Dawn there, in the Egyptian coven, and how they became a couple and vampires, etc. And it actually starred Arash Morandi, who was in A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, playing not a vampire, but in this one he's playing a vampire, so he's been a vampire who turns his girlfriend into a vampire, and he plays a human whose girlfriend is a vampire. Both films directed by women. Anyways, Arash Morandi is really hot. He is a gift to the world. This one was a little preposterous, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. The next one was called Consumed, and it's about Alec and Jane, I believe. Let me double check. Jane. Yeah. Okay, so Alec and Jane are the twins in the Volturi. It's hard to talk about these things with a straight face. Volturi, the lead is Arrow, and in the original film series, Arrow is played by Michael Sheen, and he is just over the top ridiculous. And the guy playing him in Consumed, I have to click view more cast. Jeff Ribberty was doing a great Michael Sheen, let me tell you. So they're twins who are very powerful. And they were in a hamlet and burned as witches, but then they didn't actually burn because they're vampires. And that was directed by Maja Fernqvist. Fernqvist. Wow. The last name is spelled Fernqvist, so I don't know how to pronounce that. That one was good. Beautifully shot. Okay. There were 7 of these, so this is going to take a while. Try to keep this under 10 minutes. Okay. Then the next one was probably the worst, and it was called Turncoats, and it's about Garrett, who became a vampire during the Revolutionary War. And there's another Carlisle in this one. And I didn't think it was well made. I thought it was kind of terrible, actually. The guy playing Garrett was really hot. Garrett in Breaking Dawn is played by Lee Pace. So that brings us to the last one, which was also not all that great, but interesting for a reason, which I'll tell you in a second. Oh, Turncoats. I forgot to say who directed it. Turncoats was directed by Lindsey Hancock Williamson. Okay, so the last one's called The Groundskeeper, and it's set in the same time as the Mary Alice file, when Alice was in the asylum. And the Groundskeeper is a 1,000-year-old vampire who's sort of protecting her. She hasn't turned yet. This one is directed by Nicole Eckenroad, and in this one she turns, and also is because she's about to be stalked by James and Victoria, who are the main villains in, if you remember, the first 3 Twilights. James is killed in the first one, spoiler alert, and Victoria then goes all nuts and tries to kill everybody. So this is sort of, Alice has ran into them before, and she mentions that in those films, and so this is sort of that. What was interesting, although I don't think this was the greatest film, what was interesting about it was that this person, Nicole Eckenroad, is clearly the biggest Tarantino fan ever. It's like a Twilight Tarantino film. Like if Tarantino directed Twilight, it would be this movie. It is got the music, the cutting, it has that Tarantino shot where the people are looking down at something, like weird editing, like all kinds of. She has probably seen Inglourious Basterds 300 times. It was stylish, but I don't think it was that good. But, she'll get better. So, hey. So that was the films. I thought they were all really interesting. I am looking forward to more from these directors. I actually followed several of them on Twitter. A couple of them have other films already coming out, which is great. So I'm looking forward to exploring their work, and I will be interested to see who ends up winning this competition, because I think they get $100,000 to make a film, something like that. Anyways, so this is the Twilight series, or the Twilight Storytellers. That's what it's called. Hashtag, though, is Twilight Stories. Watch them on the Twilight Saga Facebook page. If you're a Twilight fan, you'll enjoy them. I promise.